The new Interview with the Vampire show is so good. I love it so much. I've read the book at least 5 times when I was in middle school, and I waited for 15 years. I would like to say that based on the first 2 episodes, it was worth waiting every damn minute. I will talk about my thoughts and the plot in the show and the book, so spoiler alert for both. I mean, I wouldn't really talk about crucial plot point, but smaller things that's relevant to make my argument, but still, avoid at your own cost. I never had an issue with Louis being black for following reasons. First, I'm not a racist, and second, I honestly don't care for Brad Pitt's Louis in the first place or him in the book. Anyone who reads the entire Vampire Chronicle would know that the main character is Lestat. And I'm sorry, but Louis is such an ungrateful little shit. Who doesn't want the dark gift from Lestat of all people? Anywho, I digress. But Louis in the show is not an insufferable little bitch. You can see him in a new light, kinda understand him a little bit better, and maybe sympathize with him. Since Brad Pitt's Louis is literally like, oh, I want to die, but how dare Lestat kill me? I hate Lestat so much. I mean, what the fuck was that? And I was frustrated with some people who said a slave become a slave owner when they were questioning the color of his skin, or ignorant people who said vampires are white. I mean, to the first kind of people, the show said the timeline a bit different from the book, so it made perfect sense, and he wasn't a slave owner. The way that Pimp Louis carried himself versus the modern Louis, and the way that he talks, the way he acts, you can see immortality and beauty. You can only see those kind of changes from a dude who's over 200 years old, and who's also a vampire. I love Ayn Rand's book to death, but I also love Louis' character change in this show. It felt so real, and I love how it fits in the world of Vampire Chronicles. As for vampires are white, bitch, please, not the Little Mermaid shit again. They are fictional characters, and you can turn anybody into a vampire, despite their skin. And what the hell did you get the idea that all vampires are white? I mean, the Queen of the Damned movie and the book featuring a vampire queen who was a queen in Egypt, and if you don't know this already, Egypt in freaking Africa. Anywho, my main concern was Lestat. I think it's super tricky to cast for Lestat. People are obviously going to compare him to Tom Cruise, who was insanely beautiful in 1994. He needed to look younger for the duration of the entirety of the show. And he needed to carry the whole show, make everyone fall in love with a beautiful monster who exudes charm and charisma. What I saw in the trailer, I didn't feel like he was up to snuff. But with his French accent,
you're the man who made me buy a townhouse in your quarter. I owe you everything. Please join us.
With the way his velvety voice slipped from his lips, with the way he gracefully but powerfully carries himself, I found myself to be the same teenage girl again who fell in love with him reading the book after school. What's more, we see more of Lestat's human side in this as well, whereas in the movie and the book, we only see Louis' cold and violent portrayal of Lestat because the wound was pretty fresh for Louis by then. Now the setting was 40 years later, Louis had calmed down and he is free to let his hatred and bitterness slide and can again talk about Lestat more objectively. Like the passion he had for opera is from the second book, Vampire Lestat. We know that he once was an actor in a small theater company in Paris because he had to fight everybody and everything to be in that company, so of course he held high standard for his peers. That explained his passion and also his hatred when some actor dude misses high note or something. And the fact that he is romantic and charming sometimes, which we don't exactly get to see in the 1994 movie, or not much from the book either. So this wouldn't feel much like a 180 from the first and second book when I first read it, because I also kind of hated Lestat in the first book. I thought him cruel and violent, but in fact, he was bubbly, beautiful, and strong. He can appreciate the most boring things, and that's why I wanted to be a vampire when I was younger, because I also wanted to appreciate the beauty in everything. I remember there was one time, I can't remember which book though, there was a scene where Lestat went to bid an old lady in the twilight of her years. Her body is dying and her spirit and memory too, let alone her looks. But through sucking her blood, Lestat was able to taste her past when she was a young lady working in an office with beautiful professional attire and tasted the sunshine on her skin from the last time she went out. There is something innately romantic about Lestat, and I'm glad that this Louis can finally see that.